Hey, I'm Mark.
And I'm Craig.
And this is Songwriters Tales. Craig, Artist Spotlight Series, always my favorite. This one does not disappoint. Makenzie Phipps from The Voice.
Season 28, bro.
Wow.
She was there with Niall Horan of One Direction, Snoop Doggy Dogg, Reba McEntire, and Michael Bublé. And man, she wore it out. And she is on our show. So,
well, if you ever wanted to know what it's like, if you're a singer and think, what's it like to audition for The Voice, you need to listen to this episode, because let me tell you, she lays it out.
I mean, every detail, every breath, every heartbeat. And it's
awesome.
real, man.
Well, you know what I'm going to say?
I know what you're going to say. Go ahead and say it.
Let's do it.
And I mean, I even look back at, one of my favorite artists, even in today, that's really, really blowing up in the country music scene is Emily Ann Roberts.
Yeah.
And she had auditioned for The Voice when she was very young, still a high schooler and everything. And I commend her for dealing with all of that. I mean, she came in second place, and I commend her because I could not imagine dealing with it at that age, because it was hard for me to even deal with as an adult in the time that I did. But I auditioned for a while, wasn't really getting anywhere. So I decided to put it on the back burner, just kept doing my own thing, getting used to playing with, other people, getting a band together, performing for different venues, that kind of thing. And when I moved to Nashville, I had just kind of been, going around the area. My mom, she always keeps up with the shows. So she sent me a screenshot that they were looking to, have people audition for the next season. And I was like, okay. I was like, whatever. So I sent in a video. And mind you, this was the summer of 2024.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot even tell you what video I sent. I have no idea, because it's been so long. But I sent in a video. The producers contacted me and they were like, we really enjoyed you. They want to see you perform for them. So I ended up going and performing for them in like a little studio in September of 24. And I ended up singing like 3 songs for them. They said to, be prepared with 4. And I had already done the step years ago. And I had sang a song all the way through. They were like, that was great. Unfortunately, it's not your time, that kind of thing. So I went and I sang the first whole song. They were like, great. What else do you have? And I'm like, okay. So I went and did the second song, thinking that they would, stop me somewhere in between. Well, I sang the whole song through. They were like, that was perfect. They were like, you have another one? And I'm like, okay. So I ended up singing another song for them. And, they started talking to me, and I was just talking to them about, I've just been in Nashville now for a bit, all this stuff going on. I told them about my crazy cats that I have, and I'm just loving life, and came from a small town, and I'm happy to be here, sort of thing. And they really liked me, and they're like, we're going to send you to interview. So I went and did that. And then at that point, they're like, okay, well, you're not going to know until March if you're proceeding with more of the audition. And at that point, I'm like, it's September and I have to wait 6 months. At this point, I was currently planning my wedding.
My goodness.
My parents didn't even know I was planning my wedding, because my husband and I had not yet been engaged. And that was a whole different debacle. They messed up my ring. My husband and I went and picked out my ring. They messed up the ring. It took them 6 months to finish my ring.
Wow.
Oh my
After
goodness.
they messed up. Needless to say, I handled all of those phone calls. But like during this time frame, my parents had no clue. We had already been planning our wedding. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, what are we going to do? So I ended up finding out the end of February I was continuing with the audition process. Because you're not there yet. You still keep continuing. So we went through the other steps. And at that point, I was really stressed because I had my heart set. I was getting married May 15th at the courthouse, because that's a Thursday. But I wanted my wedding the 17th. But I couldn't go with a venue in case I had to, move it.
Right.
So I actually ended up getting married at a woman's backyard. I always wanted to get married in a backyard. That's just how I always wanted to be. And it worked out perfectly. This woman, she owned She just has her property she rents out and does weddings like as a side business. But they ended up telling me that I was going to be leaving like June 6th. And I was like, thank you, Jesus. I don't got to move a wedding. So I ended up getting married. My husband and I went on our honeymoon. And then literally I was home like a week and a half. And then I had to pack up all my stuff and I had to fly out to California. And I was there for a month just with the audition process before I auditioned.
So was that in 25? In
Yeah.
25? So
we're at 2025 now. It took an entire year just to be in the audition process.
Wow.
So, I'm just, that is an amazing story. Did you set the wedding date? Okay. So you know what, Mark? I think she's just like my wife. She got 51525.
250. Yes, exactly why I got married. My mom was like, what's like the meaning? And I'm like, it's easy.
Well, mine's 6786.
Yeah, like I literally told her, I said 051525.
I knew that.
So, we went to the courthouse in Nashville. We got married. I wore like a simple little white dress. He wore a white button-up. That's the only video that we even have of us being married. Like we didn't even video our wedding. We had pictures at our wedding, but I didn't even video that. So I had the person that was in the courtroom. He videoed us getting married. And then, I had my wedding on the Saturday for my family and them to come in.
Kept it simple.
Yeah.
Love it.
Well,
man.
let me ask you, when you did the auditions where you played the 3 songs, were those originals or covers?
They were covers, so I do remember those. So I had went, if I remember correctly, I think I had sent in a video of me doing like Blue by Leanne Rimes.
Okay.
That may not be right, but when I went and performed for the executives, the first song I did was You'll Never Leave Harlan Alive by Patti Loveless. I love doing that song. It's very eerie. It's one of those like songwriting genius songs. Like it's so intricately written. So I went and did that one. And then like they were even like, okay, just shake the nerves off. That was the first song. What do you got next? So the next song I did was Suds in the Bucket.
Yeah.
And I had done that, Sarah Evans. And then when I got done with that, they were like, what's another one you have? And the last one I had done for them was I Hope You Dance by Liam Womack.
Okay.
And I had done that one and they really liked it. And they really liked it, everything like that. But so I flew out to California and, it was a very stressful thing for me because, I literally just got married. Now I'm hauling butt all the way to the West Coast. I'd never been to California in my life. And, we're all in this hotel living together. None of us know each other. I knew one person when I had went out there just from a mutual that I had met in Nashville. And his name was actually Colin. He was a part of Deck of Hearts. And I knew Colin because Scott knows Rhonda Vincent and Colin used to work for Rhonda Vincent. So I knew him. And that was the only person that I knew going out there. But you're all in a hotel together and it's just stressful. We're all kind of leaning on one another because we're all kind of going through the same thing. We left our friends, our family. Some people left their kids to be able to go out and just do this. And like I said, I loved the whole audition process because the production side of things, they really do, invest in you and they really do take care of you. And, you're out there preparing for a month before you even step foot on the stage. And that's what I love. They really put forth effort into you. And I really, really appreciated that. And so it was just a very stressful time. But what was even more stressful for those that didn't get the chance to watch season 28 and watch my audition in particular was I was the last person that auditioned for my season that made a team.
Wow.
So I was dead last.
Wow.
And that's one thing a lot of people don't put in perspective. And I've never put it into perspective till, you go through the legality side of things with the show. But you are made aware that all of you are going out there. And I think at the end of the day, there were about 70 of us. But if you put in perspective, each coach, the traditional setup for The Voice is 4 coaches. I know, season 29 was a complete different setup because it was the champions. So there were 3. But each coach gets 12 people. So there's 48 spots that will be filled, and there were 70 of us that went out. Well, you have to put in perspective, some people audition, they don't make a team because they don't get any chair turns. But one thing that they did have to make you aware of was you could go out, do all of this stuff, and by the time the auditions happen, there is a possibility that the teams will fill up and you will not get to go.
Wow.
And
Whoa.
people don't, like, I never put that in perspective either. I was like, oh my gosh, like, I never really thought about that. And they've even talked about, too, they've had some times where, you know, they'll have people, you know, they'll go through the whole audition process and the teams ain't filled. So they got to do it all again, sort of thing. So, you know, one of my biggest fears, as everybody else's was I wasn't going to get to go. Like, you know, it's one thing if I did audition, I didn't make a chair turn, anything like that. At least I did it. This is where I'm at.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
But that was one hard pill to swallow, was you may not get to go.
Talk about
And so,
wind out of your sails.
Yeah. So you're practicing your songs, doing all this stuff, you know, doing different staging, that kind of thing. And how they had set up was the blinds took place among 4 days. So all of our parents, friends that you're wanting to come to your audition, they're flying all of them out for you to do. And you don't find out that you're auditioning until the night before. So they send you like, here's day 1 of auditions, all the people. Well, I became very close with a very close group of my friends. We call ourselves Karma because that's what our initials spell out. And it's Kirby, Austin, Ralph, myself, and then Aubrey. So we all just spell out Karma. And we were all very, very close. And we were just terrified, just each day waiting for the email to come. And none of us wanted to be last. And on the days went by, none of us were on day 1. None of us were on day 2. And then Kirby at this time wasn't with our group at the time. We actually had Kirby with us when we got back for battles. But all of my friends were basically on day 3 and I was on 4. And I'll never forget, we got sent the email. Aubrey and I were in the room together and she was like, the email just got sent out. And we're like looking and my number wasn't on there. And I literally just broke down, just sobbing my eyes out. I was like, I'm not going to get to go. I was like, I was such a ball of nerves. And the producers actually also don't tell you how many teams have like spots left. Like they don't tell you how many spots are left because some people genuinely don't want to know how many spots are left. Like they just want to go and perform and they want to think they have the best chance as anybody else of getting 4 chairs or just even 1 chair. So they don't tell you for that reason. But my friends and I wanted to know, among others. So as each day of the auditions went, we kind of were just keeping track of like, okay, Kirby's on Niall's team. Okay, Vinya's on Reba's team, like all this stuff. Like we're keeping track of how many spots are left. And our counting was correct because on the last day, there were 21 of us that had to go and there were 7 spots left. And so I was like, a third of us are making it through. And so they had split us among the 21. 10 went to the production. 11 was in like a holding space as they were continuing auditions. And you're also in a room where you can hear what's going on. So, and they don't tell you what order you go in either, but they have like a clipboard of like all of our names. And I was like having somebody work on my outfit and I just like peeked over and I'm counting and I was number 10 and they brought 10. So I was like, oh, is that the order? And they like flipped it and they were like, no, you know, we're still just trying to figure it out because they don't want to stress you out.
Sure.
And I understand that. But I'm like, so I literally like had it memorized of what that order was and they were going in the order. And I was just like, I'm number 10. And there's 7 spots left. And, you know, I'm hearing people go, you know, the first person went, they didn't get any turns. Okay. The second person went, they got a turn. The third person went, they didn't get a turn. So my friends were like, well, maybe like they're being really picky on the last day. You know what I mean? Like maybe they're being really, really picky of who they want to turn on. So there's hope. Well, it's like after that third person didn't make any, like it just like they kept going. And I remember I texted my mom and I just said, I don't think I'm going to go. I was like, if I have everything correct, I'm number 10. The spots are filling. I'm hearing the teams closing. Like my worst nightmare is coming true. I'm just backstage. And the gentleman before me, his name was Bullfrog. You know, we were really close out there too. All of us were very close. We were very supportive of one another. And, you know, he was so sweet. You know, he was one of the older contestants and I don't even see this as old, but he was in his 40s. And, you know, he had talked about, you know, he really doesn't play with like live people. You know, all of us came from different musical backgrounds too. Some people, they were used to doing shows like myself for years. Some people, one of my friends, he had never performed for anybody in his entire life.
Wow.
Like everybody was on different music backgrounds. So he had talked to me about, you know, I've never really played with a live band. I've only ever done tracks, you know, that kind of stuff. And he was singing Soul Shine, and he was like, do you care to play my song for me to get used to playing and singing to somebody playing?
Yeah.
And we were all supportive of one another. I'd have him come over to my room with my friends. We'd rehearse our songs with each other, give critiques, feedback, that kind of stuff. So I helped him go through his song. He's got insane vocals, just that gritty vocals, everything like that. And he was before me. And if my counting was right, there was one spot left. And so I texted my mom and I said, he's going to close it. I was like, I've helped him work on his song. He's got insane vocals. Like he's going to do it. And that was the last thing I texted my mom. And so I'm backstage and I'm hearing him sing a song. And I mean, he's just killing it. The audience is cheering for him, everything like that. And I basically at that point had accepted my fate that I wasn't going, because in my heart of hearts, I truly believed he was going to finish everything. And so he's doing his song, singing it, everything, and then the song's done. And I'm like, nobody turned. And at that point, it was just like literal fear, anxiety, everything that a human could possibly go through hit me in that one moment of,
Wow.
you're going. And I was just like terrified. So they started freshening my hair and makeup up. They like put me in front of the little doors. You're in like a little room outside of the stage. And like they even have people that like help you breathe.
I
They
bet
have
they
like
do.
people that are on set like helping you breathe and try to like calm down and everything. And I remember I literally stood there and I was like, what is going on? And I stood there and, you know, I just talked to God at that point because, you know, I talk to him every day of my life. And I just stood there and I just said, you know, I need you to use me as a vessel in whatever way you see fit. And, you know, he knew how I was. He knew I was a freaking train wreck. And so, you know, they open the doors. I go out there. And like I said, I knew if I was right, you know, I knew there was one spot left and I knew whose spot it was. And I'm looking at all the panel and my coach that I needed the chair was on the very right. And it was almost like, I was like, I can't even look. Like I truly cannot look. So I go up there and I start singing. And even if you watch back at my audition video, I was a little slow with my timing in the beginning because I had to catch up with the band because I was just so terrified. Because I mean, you already told yourself I'm not going. Like you've already accepted your fate. And now it's like, just kidding, you're going.
Yeah.
So
Woo.
I'm like singing my song, and my song was 4x4 by you, Lainey Wilson. And I'm going through it. I arranged it the way I wanted it to. I'm singing the song. And there was one part in how I arranged my song that I told myself, if I'm given the opportunity to audition, I feel this is where they would turn. It's just like a out there, give it your all moment. And it was in the climax of my song. I did this like mute part where I growl and like give this big loud note. And that's where I felt they would turn. So I'm singing my song. I get to that moment. I hit it. Nothing happens. And I'm like, I had a good run. I'm just glad I got to go. We did it. At least we're here. So I'm singing, you know, the rest of my song and I'm getting done. And I'm like, I'm at the very last word of my song, like the last phrase where I'm like, and that's where he turned, was on you. And it was almost like slow motion for me too in that moment because I was like, I'm done. Like they're not turning. And I remember when I got to that last note, what caught my attention was the little beam of their name lit up. And then that's when they turned around. And my coach was Snoop Dogg. And I was so relieved in that moment. But looking back at my audition, my favorite moment of everything was my parents' reactions. Because, like, for those, especially in my hometown that know my dad is the most nonchalant, simple guy you will ever meet. Like, he doesn't talk much. We are opposite on that. Like, he could sit in a room and not talk to anybody, and he's fine with it. And you know, he watches Andy Griffith. He watches Notre Dame football games and then the news. That's all he watches. But he loves music. You would never guess that, like my dad, he knows all different kinds of music, and especially the old school 80s, 90s hip hop rap artists. So he's known Snoop stuff for a while. He's known all of his stuff. And he definitely wanted me to be on his team because he just likes Snoop. And so seeing their reaction, just like even to this day, I'll watch it and it just makes me like cry because it's almost like you just go back through everything again.
Sure.
And it's almost like a positive PTSD because
Yeah.
it's just like everything you go through in that moment. But what was humorous about my audition was, I texted my mom. The last thing I texted her, as I said, I don't think I'm going to get to go. So that was the last thing I told my mom. So the production came, got my parents, took them where they needed to be to watch my audition. And apparently another person of my season had already auditioned for a previous season, and their parents had told them that once the teams had filled, they have had moments where they just let the other contestants sing to sing.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to make a team, but they're just letting them do it. I don't know if that was true because that didn't happen for my season. It may have happened other seasons. I can't speak for them, but that's what those parents had told my parents. So in all of this, my parents got taken, and my mom was believing in her heart of hearts that everything was done and that they felt bad for me. And they were like, just let that little blonde girl go sing for her.
Man.
And so basically, just a participation performance,
Sure.
basically. So my mom, the whole time I'm singing, thinks that it's done, that they're just letting me sing to sing. And everything in that kind of makes sense for her to think because Carson Daly wasn't there. I don't know where he was, but he wasn't with my parents. Nobody's turning. So my mom, she genuinely thought that they were just like, just go let her sing. And so when he turned, that's when my mom realized, oh my God, she just auditioned. And so because I didn't get to tell her I'm auditioning, at that moment, they threw me in hair and makeup and they threw me on stage. So there was a lot of miscommunication.
My goodness.
With that.
Well, you can see,
mom.
yeah. You can see how that happens.
That's intense. That is intense. We appreciate you telling it. A lot of people have no clue what
including
what
me. I mean, I knew that it was an intense thing, but to get to hear it from the inside is
man,
unreal.
No, and I mean, the amount of anxiety you go through. I mean, that day you have to be checked out of the hotel at 5 a.m. They're taking you to a production.
Wow.
And I mean, they have food and drinks for you to have, to make sure that you're
sure.
Prepared. They take you in a hair and makeup, get you, fixed up, just touch-ups kind of thing. But I mean, basically, I had been up since I think 3:30, whatever. I got ready. We're checking out of the hotel. You got to get all of your stuff. You're living there a month. You got to get all of your stuff packed up.
Good
and,
Lord.
They take you to set, and we're on set. And I had not been taken to the area of auditioning until 12. And then I didn't audition until 3. So, I mean, I was up for, almost 12 hours. No, I was basically up for 12 hours. I got up at 3 a.m. to get ready. I auditioned at 3 p.m. And so it was a long day, but it was just a surreal moment. It is definitely a moment I will never forget in my life.
That is amazing. Before we let you go, we want you to talk to us about this song that you've got coming out, or I guess it just did come out July 10th. And because we want people to know about that. We're going to have a link on it and all that good stuff. And because this is where it comes down to. This is what you're here for, is recording songs, getting your music out there. Talk to us about The Devil, will you?
Yes. So this song would not have been possible had I not had my experience on the show, because I actually co-wrote this with one of my friends from the show, Aubrey Nicole. She came in 4th place for our season on Team Reba. And I had never yet co-wrote with somebody outside of my husband, Shane Begley, because I was kind of still getting more into songwriting since I moved to Nashville, and I felt like I wasn't in a good position to co-write with other people until I knew who I was as an artist and songwriter. So I really only ever had written with my husband because he can't judge me too bad. And we were just all in the hotel and, we were making use of our time, just doing videos, songwriting, that kind of thing, connecting. And I had been working on a song. And one thing that we used to do at the hotel was they had a Starbucks across the street. So I walked over to Starbucks and I got an espresso drink at 8 p.m. because that's what you should do.
Yeah.
And
like you need the caffeine. I don't think you need caffeine.
No, I do not. And I went back to the hotel. I tried to lay down and my heart's just could not go to bed. So I texted Aubrey and I was like, hey, are you awake? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, do you want to come over to my room and listen to the song I've been, dabbling with? So she came over and I had a verse and a chorus-ish. And I played it for her. I was like, I don't really know what vibe I want to go with the song. So she kind of put her 2 cents in. We were putting our minds together and we started writing. I really liked how it was split on a duet manner. So, I was singing a verse, she was singing a verse. We were just writing everything, and we were really liking how it was turning out. And we definitely wanted it to have like an Old West saloon vibe to it, and definitely a vibe of like, Devil Went Down to Georgia. We had Blown Away, Carrie Underwood vibe in mind as well. And so we finished writing the song, and I just loved it. And, when we got done with the show, I was like, I really want us to record this song. I feel like it'd be really fun to do. It'd be my first ever duet put out on a platform as well as hers. So we went into the studio with my producer, Grady Saxman, and he just does a phenomenal job working on songs. I've worked with him since I moved to Nashville, and I really feel like he just truly captures my sound and how I want things to be. And we both went in, and he just knows. It's so hard to put into words, but I just tell Grady, I'm like, this is the song, here's the rough draft. We send it to him of us just singing in the hotel room. And I was like, this is the vibe I'm going with, like Devil Went Down to Georgia, Blown Away, Old West. And he just makes it come to life. Like, he's got such an incredible musical ear with that. And we were so happy with how it turned out. And I told her, I was like, I think it's going to be so fun. And we've just been loving the feedback we've been getting from it. And the whole story of the song is basically talking about, you may know somebody, but you never know what their true colors may be. And that's just kind of how we came up with the song. It's kind of like, there's a snake among us sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I loved how it turned out. It's called Devil Ain't in Hell. And it speaks literally just that, the devil ain't in hell tonight. Basically just saying, watch your back because you never know who you're among. And I just love the whole writing of it. I mean, we look back at some of the lyrics and we're like, how did we write this? Like, how did we come up with this? And we were very proud of how it turned out. So it is available anywhere on social media. It's available anywhere that you stream music, so they can listen to it literally anywhere.
So cool.
Awesome. Man, what a ride. Love it.
I know. I feel bad. Every time I tell the story, it's like such a long story, and I feel bad for anybody that has to hear it.
Well,
but it's just like, I love taking people through the emotions that I went through.
You're a storyteller.
Well, you're a storyteller.
And that's what's important.
But the other thing is for anybody who's thinking about auditioning for one of these shows, because America's Got Talent's got to be exactly the same way. As a matter of fact, the girl that we talked to who was on that show, I mean, she didn't go into the detail that you did, but it was very similar, auditioning and this and this and this. But I mean, the way you told the story about standing in there waiting for the doors to be kicked open and, okay, kid, get out there and sing.
Yeah.
That's reality. And that's when you just stepped over into the big time.
Yeah.
Because
gets real.
It gets real. And, I hope that you're nominated for a Grammy one day. And if you are, you'll be singing at the Grammys. And it's going to be exactly the same kind of stress. I don't care how prepared you are. Mm-hmm. You're not prepared for that. Yeah. Because, I love the fact that they have breathing people out there to make.
Yeah. They have people that are like,
breathe,
okay,
girl.
let's breathe.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, it's not happening.
Well, because, panic sets in. You start having this panic attack, like, holy crap, I'm about to be out there.
You genuinely go, you go through every emotion. And what was even worse, everybody unanimously agreed on my team that my position was the hardest to be in, because nobody understands, like I had mentioned, not everybody gets to go.
Right.
And when I had went, it was almost like when his chair turned, you have that moment of relief and excitement. And then that other end of the coin, you have the guilt.
Sure.
Because I sat there on that stage when he turned. I stood there on stage. And for that split second in my mind, I thought, there are 11 people that did not go.
Right.
And it's almost like, I struggled with it a lot.
Of course.
Like when I got in the van with my parents, it was almost like your adrenaline just like went down at that point. I had to get a glucose tablet out of my purse because I hadn't eaten for a while, and I literally just like ate it, and I'm just like sitting there trying to breathe. And tears are just going down my eyes because it's like, what just happened?
Of course.
And it was a very just stressful thing to deal with. And I just remember just, feeling guilt. And one of the other contestants, their mothers, because it was actually a minor that was auditioning, her mom, I was talking to her about it, and she couldn't have worded it any other way than saying it's almost as though you have survivor's guilt.
Of course.
And that's exactly how it felt.
That's exactly what it is.
Mm-hmm. And that's why I talk about I don't take my position for granted, because I know there were people that wanted to do what everybody wanted to do. which was to audition.
Well, thank you for
we're
telling the
glad you did.
story.
Man,
Thank you for
Chris.
telling the story, and God bless you for all the hard work that you have done and all the struggle you went through to get there. And we'll put all your social stuff up so that everyone knows how to get a hold of you and to go track down your new single. And, if you talk to Scott before we do, thank him for letting you come on the show for us, because you are an absolute joy.
What a
And
blast.
I can't wish you enough good fortune because you deserve it. You have the right spirit. You have everything about you going for you. So, God bless you. And I cannot wait to see how high you climb.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely.
Well,
thank you for that. And for our listening audience, we're going to stay online with Mackenzie for a few minutes and just have a chat afterwards. But we're going to let you go from Songwriter's Tales with Mark and Craig. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, and share. And we'll see you the next time. Thank you, Mackenzie.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, this is Mark and Craig with Songwriter's Tales, and we need you to like,
Subscribe
comment,
and share.
See you soon, folks.
See ya. Let's do it.